Hey, it's Bruce Feldman. Pleased to be joined by really the talk of the Pac-12 this week, Kalen DeBoer, the new head coach of the Washington Huskies. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. Thank you.
It's been interesting what you guys have been able to do over a really short period of time. Obviously, last weekend, huge win over Michigan State. I think it sounds like people in Seattle were already buzzing, but I think it got people around the country really, really intrigued by what you're doing. I want to ask you, you did a really good job at Fresno State, but came in here. I think people still really maybe don't know that much about you. What was the biggest thing you think you've been able to do with your staff to kind of get things going in the right direction there?
I think we're all pulling the same direction. There's enough continuity on the staff to where we understand philosophically what we're trying to do, and that's not just scheme, but also just in building our culture. And it's 6 assistants, strength coach, come with a few quality control coaches, and so just a lot of common contacts, and everyone's got different personalities, but we all have the same philosophy as far as how we want this to look and what we want for our kids. And it starts with that because the buy-in from the players is reflective of what the buy-in and what it looks like up top. And that trickle-down effect, I think, has spread throughout our team. And they see that, it isn't about just the offense or just the defense, or especially if it's a team game that we're playing, and everyone's important. And our players, I think, see that our coaches support each other, and now you're seeing the players support each other, and that's led to great success early on.
My colleague Chris Peterson at Fox Sports has talked a lot about, even last year, I remember talking about the young receivers, and I know he talked about the offensive line, and I think he was optimistic, and it just didn't happen last year. But you come in, you reunite with Michael Penix Jr., who you had, at Indiana, who we had a really good season in 2020. What is it about him? Because obviously he's put up big numbers. He lit up Michigan State last week. What is it about him you think that makes him most special?
Yeah, I think first of all, Coach Pete, we're reaping the rewards of a couple players, that he recruited, and maybe didn't get a chance to coach, but we're great players, great people, and how they've meshed with Michael is been special. I knew for sure, but I think other people just had never seen it in person. And Michael's capable of big things. He's got an arm. It's strong, it's accurate. He's got a cool vibe about him. It's just constant, consistent. Just every day. He just comes out here and enjoys being around his teammates, and they enjoy being around him. So he's just been calm, cool in the games we've played. Because of his preparation and confidence he brings in himself, but also just in those around him. So it's been fun to see, and he's made the most of his opportunities so far, and spreading the wealth around, and getting great protection by the offensive line.
How much different is he from the kid that you had a few years ago when he gets in, 2020, you're at Fresno, and he's got them going a little bit. How much different of a guy is he compared to what you knew back in Bloomington?
Yeah, it was 2019 when I was with him, and then 2020, the carryover was a big year for him, and I was not there that year. But I think there was continued to be development because he was coming off an injury when I first worked with him, and he didn't have a spring or a summer, and just hopped right into the offense, and it took off. And you saw what we were capable of at that time and what he was capable of. But I think we're talking a couple of years down the road now, and so. His familiarity with really pretty much the same system, maybe a few things that have adjusted or changed since then we've tweaked, but for the most part, he was already, head and shoulders above every other player on this team, coming in, knowing the offense. So he's been able to just continue to focus on his body and making sure he's stronger and durable, and then also just really building the relationships and continuity and timing. And he's just his preparation, I think, is on another level. Coach Ryan Grubb, our offense coordinator, has done an awesome job of just every day, taking those steps and setting the standard, and making sure we're always above that. And Mike's living up to that. He's putting everything into it, and those two right now are definitely in sync.
I want to ask you, like, there's an interesting subplot this season. You guys obviously have created a lot of buzz in the Big 12. Kansas and Lance Leipold 3-0 for the first time in 13 years. You guys have something in common in that Lance won 6 D3 national titles. You were 67-3 in NAIA Sioux Falls. I'm curious, having the small school head coaching roots, how do you think that has given you maybe an advantage when you become an FBS head coach?
Well, I've always been a fan of Lance. I've known him, for a few years when he was winning championships, and we shared the stage at a few banquets and things like that. But man, he's a class act guy, top notch. And I think probably to answer your question, some of the things that just happened is you really, he's got some of his guys with him. I think that he had going back years, and you really find out who's in your corner, and who's there with you. And you have to coach a lot of things and manage a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, and being able to have perspective through all of it and really coach for the love of the game, I think, is something that comes out. And as you go through the levels, some of the organization things change, but the core of who you are and what you do stays the same, and I'm sure that's what, I'm sure there's some pieces of what he would say that would reflect, some of those common themes that I know I have, with the support system I have around me, whether it be, coaches, or just, who's there in your friendships, my wife included, going to work every day and knowing that I give these guys all I got.
I'd ask Coach P for his thoughts on that, if, because he obviously has UC Davis ties and kind of came out, maybe not in quite the same way, but fairly similar. But as a head coach, he said, I think some of it is like who you are and your temperament, but also it's like, you have to know kind of what's not important when you're a head coach at that, when you're maybe handing out the equipment and picking up the equipment, and you probably have to handle travel and all these other details. So you kind of get a feel, he said, of like what's not important as opposed to just what is important as a head coach.
Yeah. The prioritization of everything is huge. There's just some things, you'd love to get to, but it's not at the top of the list, and it might have to wait a week or two when you're at a smaller college. But you got to go through the things and take care of, because travel is important, and you might have to be scheduling on that. Equipment's important, and just some of the things that you might do, just maybe fall a little further down the list because it might not lead to a win that week, but it's something that's important to your program.
With you, this is going to be your first Pac-12 game this weekend. It's Stanford, 7:30 at night. You have, obviously, everybody respects David Shaw in the league. It's interesting. They broke out some slow mesh, which is obviously the Wake Forest staple. I don't know how much, he probably had the reads of what they do with the Demon Deacons, but how much of a challenge for you guys is it to try to cope with something now you have it on film to see how you handle it?
Yeah, there's no question. First of all, just, crazy respect for Coach Shaw and what he's accomplished, and, just doing it at a high level for so many years. And, it's been cool just being a part of the Pac-12 and sitting in the same meeting room and just hearing his perspective on things and how he's influencing our great game. But what they're doing offensively, just some additions from what they did a year ago. Fortunately, we've had a chance to see a little bit of it. I'm sure there's more that we haven't seen, but it does, the RPOs that come off of it, and it puts our defenders in conflict, and we got to do a good job of tackling, because it creates a lot of one-on-one tackles, a lot of one-on-one in coverage. And, they will only get better as they have more and more reps at it. And so, fortunately, we've had a chance to see a little bit of it on film.
Is any part of this surreal to you, just going, as I said, you had this powerhouse program at Sioux Falls, obviously on a smaller scale, and then you're in the Big Ten as a coordinator, and people in the league were like, they may not have known how to pronounce your name, but they were kind of buzzing about the guy at IU who's like causing problems. And then you got Fresno and you got it rolling, and obviously had the big win last year at UCLA with Jake. Painter. And
Yeah.
now you're up here and you got it going. How often, if at all, do you stop if you're at a traffic light or before a meeting starts? Do you kind of flash back to how all the pieces have come together on this journey?
Yeah, I think when you're in it, and you're just going and doing what you always do, coaching ball and trying to build a team and helping the coaches, scheming. But I think right when you got the opportunity to be here and walk into the facility in early December, or I guess November 30th, and maybe this summer when coaches were on a little bit of a Christmas or a summer break, you have the place and you just kind of start thinking about how far we've come, and some of that sets in. But it's been a long time coming. It's just staying the course and keeping that perspective that we were talking about earlier, and just making it about doing what we do, and still loving the kids and cheering them on, and helping them be the best they can be. It's still the same thing I've done for 20 plus years, coaching ball. And so simplifying it down as much as you can. It's still what I try to do, even though there's a lot more involved, at this level. And so it's been fun this so far, and can't wait to go attack our first Pac-12 game here on Saturday.
Were you calling the plays back at Sioux Falls?
Yeah. The first time I've ever been at a college game and not called the plays was in 2020. When I came back to Fresno, and just, Ryan Grubb's been calling it now this is the third year, but from 2000 until 2019, never was at a college game where I didn't call the plays. So it was an awkward feeling, but you just got to let coaches coach, hire the right people, and let them take ownership. And, I've been around Ryan I've coached with him. I think this is year 11 or 12, but I've known him longer than that. And so we've talked ball, sat in the same staff room for so many years and so many hours that there's just a lot of understanding of what was worked for us, what the answers are, how we want to win football games, and how to get that done.
How much do you miss that, like, kind of having your fingers on the button kind of mental challenge of the chess match between you and the defensive coordinator, though?
Yeah, I think the challenge piece is what it is. It's just fun. You're tested, and it's there's just you gotta look at the different things that end up happening in a game, and say, okay, it's exciting to see how you facilitated the environment and the belief, and instead of when you're a coordinator, you're facilitating the design, and of the play, and the wrinkles and stuff like that. But it's fun because I know I'm still a part of it. A huge part of just the building of what we're doing, offensively, even defensively, and special teams. And you got your hat in a lot of more than just the offense, like it has been for 20 years.
Before I let you go, what would you be doing if you weren't a football coach?
Yeah, I don't know. That's funny. We ask our kids the same question as we're getting to know them. When we first have them in as freshmen and camp, and a lot of our coaches, that's one of the questions I tell them to ask our players. And I don't even know the answer to myself. I think it'd have to be sport related. I just love the competition, and there's no way I as much as there is kind of, I get in an element to sales when it comes to recruiting and, pushing your strengths and talking about it. I don't think that's what it would be. So I don't know. I love athletics. I love being around people that are like-minded, like myself. And, it's a profession that keeps you busy. I love that part about it. Just sitting around at home, I get kind of bored. And so, that's I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you, I guess, Bruce.
Well, I think a lot of Husky fans are glad that you've chosen what you've chosen, and you don't have any other outside thoughts on it. So excited to watch you guys against Stanford this weekend. Excited to see how you guys defend David Shaw's version of slow mesh, and to see this offense keep going, especially what you guys are building there. So thanks for joining us today.
You bet. My pleasure. Thank you.